torque ratio is a little bit higher on those particular hooks for me, so that's what I stick to. So we would use a 6/0 or a 3/0 thread. I use this 6/0, just lets me get a few more wraps in there. It's usually pretty thick. So first thing that we're going to do is we'll just attach the thread on there. I like to wrap it about 3/4 to the back of the hook there. So this is when I use that, it's a UV black eye stub. Find the spot, bam. You could also use a peacock, usually works pretty good too. I find that there's no need to really have to do it on like a dubbing loop, because you want it to get a little furry as you fish it. Fish chew on it, you want to kind of fur out. I'm one of those guys, I just kind of hand dub it on. Just a simple finger twist. You could also use like a shiny chenille as an underbelly, also works pretty well. Now notice I kind of wrap it up to where the leg segments would be. The reason why I'm doing it there is because it's something to glue the foam down onto as you go. Next I'm taking a 2mm foam. If you weren't at the meeting that I did earlier this year, I cut all my foam with a paper cutter to get a nice straight line, cut it into strips, just kind of saves time later. So I also do take an adhesive, and sometimes I'll double layer it together. Adhesive 2 big pieces, and then as you cut it you get that nice smooth edge. So that's a brown to black. Works well for ants, for cicadas also too. You see variations. Some guys tie their cicadas only in brown. I prefer the black. That's kind of more the natural color. They do have kind of a smoky look to the body. So you'll see I'll cut the tail to a taper. And kind of a long taper to it. And then the next move I do is I actually kind of trim it out a little bit. Make it kind of a boat shape. Now, not a true necessary factor to it, but I always hit mine with a little lighter. That kind of melts the foam a little bit, kind of rounds it out, seals everything. So the next move, notice I'm hanging it just off the tail, right? First wrap is usually pretty light, getting tighter as I pull. So you always want that little bit of extra in front of the head, because we actually pull the head over on this fly. So get that kind of rounded. Yeah, so you'll see that the head kind of sticks out in front a little bit right there. Now you'll notice that once we have it attached like that, it wants to swivel on top. That's when I take the super glue, I pull it up in the back, put a little bit of glue on top of the dubbing, and just pin it down. Dave wanted me to show you the tattoo.
Had to be alcohol involved.
Yeah, somewhat. Might have been some Crown Royal mixed in there somewhere. So on the underwing, you're just extending it just past the body, about a 1/4 inch. The cicadas have a very noticeable longer wing than the body. A black under with that you can kind of see has almost like a veiny look to it. Usually just 2 or 3 wraps will do.
So is that the stuff that you said with the Black Steve
Farrar blend, yeah. Yeah, so again, you find it where the streamer stuff would be. You know, it's a streamer fiber, but I use it as an underwing. It's not buoyant, it doesn't absorb water, and it's synthetic, so usually works pretty good for an underwing. It's really durable. They'll eat all the deer hair off this thing, and all that'll be left will be that black Farrar blend. So now, just because I'm a guide, I put every step is like a little more super glue. I want them to last all day. So that's the underwing. The top wing is a dun-colored deer hair. Traditionally, you also see them tied with a white calf's tail. We get all sorts. Every guide has a different way to do it, but mine, I like the dun-colored wing because when you look at the wings, they have that black vein through them. They almost have like a dun-colored tint to them, and surprisingly, this stands out pretty good on the water. You can see that dun a little better than you can, say, a black. So just kind of picking out that under fur. You can use white, black. I've seen guys use olive. I think olive's a little bit harder to see, but you'll also notice that I will put an indicator on this fly too. So that was a man down. Let's try it again.
I was on film too.
I know. I'm only 1 cup of coffee into my day, Dave. It's after the 3rd cup I really do my work. So again, I'm just extending it out the same length as the Farrar blend. Pretty close to the end there. Nice soft wrap. And pulling a little bit tighter, and that'll make it splay out when I let go of it. You want to get all those little pieces out of the front, because when you fold it over for the head, if you have extra pieces there, it's going to want to, incorporate into the head, which is a little harder to deal with later. So again, a little dab of super glue. Let that dry. Next, I'll be taking the pumpkin silicone legs. Now, this is where it can vary from season, parts of the season. If it was early in the hatch, I might be using more of a yellow or a chartreuse silicone leg right there. The pumpkin always has that kind of little bit of orange flash to it. It's nice variegated to it. And the reason why I do two different types of legs in this fly is because I want some of them to move stiffly and some of them to move softly. When they hit the water, those things are just kicking for life. That's all they're doing, is just continually moving. And so you want them to, the legs to actually move. So a big mistake people make on these things is that they trim those legs way too short. The natural bug, the legs kind of cup underneath. And honestly, for the fly, I've tried to tie them like that using a paintbrush and like a horsehair from a paintbrush. And they're just so stiff that you don't get the motion out of it. They like those legs kicking. They like them moving. So you'll notice what I do is I take two sections together. Place them right to the side of the fly, and I usually pin them with my finger right up against the foam. One soft wrap, and the nice thing about rubber legs is you can kind of adjust them as you go. And a second wrap, and they'll kind of pop off to the side like that. Do the other side here. Again, a good measure is just to kind of make it similar to the length of the body, and then you could always trim it down. Okay, next I'm going to incorporate the orange round rubber leg. And what you're doing is you're just kind of splitting the uprights. So if you look at the fly like that, you see it? Yeah, so when you put the leg right in the middle, it kind of has the uprights to kind of hold it. Something like that.
Lights.
Again, just putting the rubber leg between the two sets of silicone legs. I usually find it right in the middle.
Cut your light off on this first one here.
Okay.
Your time.
Cut yours off too.
So you notice you get that kind of X shape to the legs. Once they're all in, you can usually pull it a little bit tighter. And that'll kind of splay it out a little bit more. Just a little light trimming just to make the thread wraps easier. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is you're going to fold the head over. When you rewrap it, you want to put the thread wraps just in front of the front legs. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'll pull that head over and I'll pin it down. I usually pull the legs back to keep them out of the way, like that. Just a nice light wrap in front, pulling a little bit tighter as we go. And you get that nice round head to it. want to trim up the extra foam there. We need to adjust this. That's looking pretty good right there. And then the last step is I just attach an indicator. It could be orange foam, but whatever color you see the best. So white, the fish don't really see it because of the silhouette of the bug. There's so much wing and leg there that they don't necessarily see that top foam. But you want to have something that you know the fly is upright. You know, whether you have to mend it or give a little rod shake just to try to get it to flip over. It'll usually self-right, but every once in a while if they land upside down and the fish don't see the underbelly, they see a lot of wing on top, they don't really want, that's when they're refusing. So this is a little bit narrower than the black foam. I'm just placing that on top. Again, I'll pull the legs back. I usually do it a little bit longer than where I trimmed off the excess. 1, 2. Trim it with maybe about 1/8 of an inch from the thread wraps, and that keeps the line from getting stuck underneath it as you cast it. And then that's pretty much it. You'll notice also when I go to tie this off, I'll pull that head back with my thumb, put some thread wraps underneath. Just a simple whip finish around the eye. Usually do 2 of them. And before I glue everything down, I just kind of adjust the legs so everything's sitting off to the side here. Bit of glue over the eye and where I did my thread wraps, and then that's pretty much it, minus just kind of trimming down the legs at the end.